Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Chicago Bears. So today, well, the season's over. This is the wrap-up show. We're going to go over some stats, mention a few things, talk about some things I've been thinking about, and then we're going to go on from there. But at least we ended up on a good note on last Sunday. We won only 5 games, but we beat Green Bay. And there's nothing better than to beat Green Bay. And we stopped those 2 stupid streaks. The 10-game losing streak we were on this season and the 11th streak against Green Bay, how many losses we have. I think the last win was in 18. So finally we broke them. That's a good thing. Because when you can break the bad spells, good things will happen. And I think they're going to. I really got a good feeling. I know, Bears fan, I say that all the time. But anyways, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what went on. I have a few things before I hit the stats. I want to talk about some things. You know what? Let's do the stats first, and then I'll add some things that I've written down that I thought I wanted to talk about. So these are the final stats for this year. I'm just going to give you some top players. That's all, to let you know what they did, and we'll go from there. Okay. So Cabe, our wonderful our quarterback. We know we have a quarterback. Finally, Bears fans, we have a quarterback. So in 2024, this is what he did, considering the atrocious line he had. This is what he did. And he lost a head coach, he lost an offensive coordinator, and he had an assistant helping him at the end of the season. So it's kind of impressive. So Williams had 3,541 total yards of passing, 20 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. That alone is a great ratio, 20 to 6. I mean, for a rookie year, you go look up some of the guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, those guys, they did not have those ratios. This is an excellent ratio. So it's something to feed off of for next year. He rushed for 489 yards, and he played all 17 games. That hasn't happened since, I told you last week, since 2009 with Cutler. So awesome. I mean, really, these are impressive stats considering. They really, really are. So, and Swift, our running back, you know how I feel about him if you've been watching my show. I was kind of surprised he had this many rushing yards, but he had 969 yards. You got to have well over 1,000. You got to have well over 1,000. But I say he's an all-purpose guy where he's going to give you the rushing. He's a more of a finesse rusher, but he's awesome, very good at catching the ball too. So what we need, as I've mentioned many, many, many times, is we need a power back to get through the line and get those chunks of yards that are really, really important. Those short yardages, those 4th and 1s, 3 and 1s, 3 and 2s, get those 10 yards when you need them. And Swift just isn't that answer. He's a good, if you could get a power back in the draft and then Swift right behind him, I think we'll be fine in the rushing area next year. So, but he did. I was surprised. I will give him props. You know how I've been on his ass. He had 969s rushing. He had 6 touchdowns, and he had 386 yards receiving. That's good. And another bright spot, he played all 17 games. Huge. Moore is our number 1 receiver. Number 2, Moore, he received, too bad he didn't get over 1,000 yards. That would have been sweet. He should have as well. These guys, like the rushing and Moore, our receiver should have had way more, but if we had a line, they would have. But Moore did have 966 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and he actually rushed for 75 yards. That's when you know your team is bad, when you got your leading wide receiver rushing the ball for 75 yards. And again, he played all 17 games. That's awesome. Awesome. You want to hear that about your players. Number 13, Allen. He had 744 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and he threw 1 interception. As we all know, that happened last week during the Green Bay game. I had to put that one in there because that was just a stupid-ass play. He did not play all 17. He played 15, and his contract is up. So we don't even know if he's going to be back. He said he would only choose 3 teams. And I believe 2 out of the 3 were in California, and the Bears are the other ones. He said he doesn't want to really play anywhere else. So, he's at the end of his career. I get it. So, but he contributed pretty well. Our rookie, number 15, Rome, he had 734 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and he played all 17 games. Now, what I'm really looking for is the chemistry going into 2025 of Cabe and Rome to really become that threat. Of course, more too, but because Rome is young, you want Rome and Cabe, our quarterback, to have that chemistry moving forward because they're both going into their second years, and if they can start to get a real chemistry, that sends a message to all the teams they play, look out. 85, Clement, our wonderful tight end, who I am very unhappy with the Bears. They hardly used him. I don't understand. This guy is a talent out there. He's somebody. He's a quarterback's best friend, and he only had 474 yards. That's ridiculous. He is awesome, and this coming, whoever we hire as an offensive coordinator, better get Clement back involved. I know we had to use our tight ends as blockers because our offensive line was so bad, but I'm sorry, you gotta find, they should have found a better way to get him involved because he could have gotten you a lot more yards. So he was 474, 4 touchdowns, and again, he played all 17 games. So, and then I told you about Swift. He has 386 yards. So, some production, no doubt about it, on the offense. And just think, if we had an offensive line, let me tell you about the offensive line. I've got that here. So let's talk about it real quick, okay? It was bad. Well, I do know that in the 27 games, 27 games this year, excuse me. Okay, let's start over. So, our offense, we're going to talk about our offense now. Our offense had 26 false starts. That's on the offensive line. That's tied for the 3rd most worst in the league. And that's not surprising because they were just awful. And that's lack of talent and discipline. And there's only been, and it's just terrible. It was across the board. The O-line had 27 different starting lines this season. You cannot win with 27 different starting lines. And there's only one player on the Bears offensive line that started the season and finished it. And that was our second year, number 58, Darnell Wright. He was the only one. And Darnell is 4th in the league amongst offensive linemen with his numbers. So, good job on there, okay? So, you just can't win games when you got a line like that. But think about it. Cabe did what he did with that line. 27 different starting lines. I mean, that's insane. I don't think any team, I bet if you look that up, no other team's ever had that happen. I didn't look it up, but, So, it's really remarkable what Williams did, considering when you really think about it. And that's why people around the league are very impressed with this young man. The running game, I've been bitching about it all year, and here's a few stats about it. So the Bears went from number 1 in the rushing in 2022, 2022. They were the number 1 rushing team. In And they were number 2 last season in 2023 for the rushing attack. This year, they were 25th entering Week 18. I didn't look it up, but it doesn't really matter. They were only averaging 103 yards a game. And when you really do that out, they did not average 100 yards. They did not get 100 yards in many, many games. So remember, this is an average. Players say the team, despite retaining, we had an offensive running coordinator and we had an offensive line coach, but it got away from them. For the 2 previous years, we were very, very successful. And if you've got a running attack with a quarterback like we have, we're going to just beat teams. So that's why it's so important, because a young quarterback's best friend, I've said it all year, is a running attack, because it takes the pressure off him. You can't be obvious. The Bears were so predictable, so obvious. Many teams said after playing the Bears this year, they knew exactly what the Bears were going to run by how they set up. Too predictable. The calls were terrible. You even had to get a wide receiver, your number 1 wide receiver, into the rushing game. What is that? Horrible. So that is a big, big thing that the Bears have to work on besides their offensive line, number 1. They have to work on their defensive line, but the running attack, I would almost say that's number 2. It's really important. So you got to get at least 3 to 4 guys in the draft. You can get some later. I'd say at least 3 offensive guys, and then in free agent, go out and pick a couple up who are experienced, because you've only got 1 who we know we can play. Now, Jenkins, I don't think the Bears are going to keep him. I believe he's on a contract year, so I'd be surprised if the Bears kept Jenkins, but we'll see. So, and then Clement, as I said, he finished with 47 receptions. What? And he only had 6 receptions over the last 5 games of the season. That is just ridiculous. This kid is talented. He can catch anything. He can get open. You need to use this kid, and they did not do it. Now, we know Keenan Allen did provide what we needed, and he's 32 years old. He had 70 catches, 744 yards. So, and a team high, he had the highest of 7 touchdowns. So, this old man, he did it, but his contract's up, and I don't know if the Bears are going to bring him back. It might not be a bad idea to sign him to another year if he goes for another year, and then see what you get in the draft. But our draft, 3 areas that we definitely have to address in the draft and free agency is offensive line, running backs, and defensive line. And I'll talk about the defensive line in a minute. And Rome, our wonderful young wide receiver, he has shown a lot in his rookie year. He was averaging 13.6 a catch, and he had 734 yards, as I told you, and 3 touchdowns. So I'm really looking for him to make the next step next year, and him and Cabe to really, I hope him and Williams do some practicing in the offseason. Get together, start to really get a rapport. These guys, Moore, Williams, Clement, Rome, they got to go and spend some time in the offseason working together, because they can do it. They just can't do it officially at the Bears training camp. They can do it on their own, though. So you can see we've got talent there, but you know what? And the last thing about the thing is Williams had gone through 3 different offensive coordinators and 2 head coaches in his rookie year. And look what he did. So it is impressive, people. We've got the quarterback. Now we just need head coach and a awesome offensive coordinator who can really work with Williams and mentor him more and take him to that next step because he's got some work to do. We all know that. He's got to read the defenses a little bit. He's got to have more confidence in himself. I saw it in the Green Bay game where he was whipping some passes in there that was like, what the fuck did he throw that for? But he made it, right? So a lot of talent here, a lot of potential on the offense. We just need an offensive line. Sounds easy, but it never is because they're so important, and a running attack on offense, and we will be golden. You know, it's funny because I was watching the Penn State Notre Dame game last night, which was awesome, and you see these teams on college that have great offensive lines, and that's why some of these quarterbacks in college look better than they really are because they have an offensive line. But the problem there is they all, okay, after they graduate, they all go all over the country, so they don't stay together. But man, they have some lines, and that's all that Williams needs. Give him a couple more seconds, and God only knows what this kid could do, right? Okay, so that's offense. Let's get to defense. Not a lot of stuff to talk about there, but we do have some. So our number one tackler overall had the most tackles, number 31, Bard. Not surprising. He had 80 solo tackles, 50 assists, which gave him 130 total tackles, which is awesome. He had 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 fumble recoveries. And this guy, good leader. Good leader, and I can't wait to see him back on the field next year. Our linebacker, number 53, Edwards, he had 70 solo tackles, 50 assists, that brought him in at 129. He had 4 sacks, 1 interception, and 2 fumble recoveries. We've got some talent here. I would like to see the Bears add a few more linebackers if they can after they address their real problems, because they're good, they're not great. They're good at best. And so, you know, when you see high numbers like this on your linebackers, it's good and it's bad, you know what I mean? And then another linebacker, number 49, Edmonds, had 60 solo tackles, 50 assists, which brought him in 110, 1 sack, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. So these 2 linebackers definitely were all over the field this year. Very good job. Sack leader, I'm really disappointed in this, is Sweat with 5.5. That's not the money. The Bears are paying him money to get double digits. And when I say double digits, I don't mean 5.5. I mean 12, 13, 14. That's what I mean. This is not good. And you know, you heard some stuff the last couple of weeks that there's a problem in the locker room. There's immaturity. There's people not showing up, giving it 100% from other players. I have this sneaking suspicion Sweat was one of them. I really think he let down. He wasn't playing as well as he should. He does need another guy on the other end to complement him and take some of the pressure off, but 5.5 ain't doing it, man. Because Dexter, number 99, came in with 5 sacks. He was right behind him, and this is a second-year guy. Dexter Sr. is going to be great, number 99, but he's so close to Sweat, and he ain't making Sweat money, I guarantee you that. So Sweat better step up next season, and he better play for what they're paying him for. You know, and you know what? Get your attitude out of the locker room and play like a professional, because you are a huge letdown on that defense. In my opinion, he is the number 1 letdown on that defense this year. Number 95, Walker, another defensive lineman. These 3 are defensive linemen. Walker, number 95, had 3.5 sacks. So this is what went on defense. And you know what? I'm going to talk about Brisker in a minute, but losing Brisker really, really hurt, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So the defense ended up this season ranked 27. We're talking about a Bears defense. That's not Bears football. And in the league, their average was allowing 354.2 yards a game between passing and running, and they gave up 37 touchdowns. Now, the only bright spot in this is only 37 touchdowns, because I went and looked at other teams, and there's 3 teams I mean, the Bears are really kind of low in giving up touchdowns. Three teams. The Carolinas given up 61 touchdowns. Dallas gave up 55, and Tennessee gave up 55. And that says the Bears bent, but they didn't break, So that means when they let them go up between the 20s on the field, their 20 and our 20 and their 20, and then they honker down. So in the red zone, the Bears were pretty damn good because 37, allowing only 37 touchdowns, and I think they ended up the year 11th in points allowed. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. This means when they got down, they gave them field goals more than touchdowns. So, again, we got to look at some of the bright spots here, right? And this is another one. I do feel if, and what would be nice, I want another, we need another guy to help Andrew Billings. Now, people forget about him. He went out, 3-4 games ago, and the run was pretty bad anyways, but then it got really bad when he went out. So we need another guy to help Andrew Billings in the middle to stop the run. So I say I would like to but we've got guys on the team in Dexter. We've got the rookie Booker, who's going to be second year next year, and Walker. They can help Sweat. So you know what? What I would prefer is another guy to complement Andrew Billings and stopping that run because it was bad, really bad, right? So our secondary, considering how banged up, it was banged up a lot this year, and Brisker was gone. They are the bright spot on the defense. I mean, only 37 touchdowns. That says a lot about them. So, again, there's some bright spots here, but, the red zone, they did do things, but, I don't know. So let's finish. And so they finished with 40 sacks, 11 interceptions, 17 forced fumbles, and 13 fumble recoveries. This defense, as I said, has the talent, has the guys. We just have a few more holes to fix and we'll be okay. But the problem was they were playing really damn good until that Washington game, and the wheels fell off. Flus lost the defense after that game because he threw him out under the bus right away, and he shouldn't have done it. It was on him. He should have called that timeout. He gave him too many yards. It was on him, period. He should have taken the responsibility right after that game, and he didn't. And it's unprofessional for the guys not to play like they should be playing because they're being paid. It's their job. I mean, you all out there and me when I worked, if I showed up and didn't do my job, they would fire us like that. So, guys, I get it. But it also didn't help that the offense wasn't scoring enough points. Scoring points and staying on the field with your offense helps your defense. It gets them rest. It gets them off the field. So the offense not scoring a lot of points also contributed it. But after that Washington game, that was it. I mean, that was frickin' it. So that's pretty much the defense. Again, bright spots. We fill those holes. And then I wanted to put, I added the kicker. So our punter, rookie punter number 19, Taylor, he had 82 punts, which is a high amount. That also shows you your offense has problems. He punted for 3,911 yards. His average was 47.7, which is very, very, very good. His net was 41.6. And he only had 34, and within the 20-yard line, so 20 or less, out of the 82 kicks, 34 of them were within the 20-yard line or less. He only had 4 touchbacks, which is pretty good. So he kicked way more than we would want, but he did his job, because if he was a shitty kicker, the opposite teams would have had a lot better field position and could have scored more points. So we got to give props to him. He is only going to get better, right? He's going to get better as he matures, as his strength gets better. So there's definitely help there, but we got to keep the punts down next year. Again, 82 shows your offense sucks. Santos, number 8. He is 21 of 25, and his longest was 54. Now, a lot of people say he doesn't have a real strong a leg, and in that one game against, was it Detroit, where I think at the end, instead of trying to go for it, passing, they should have kicked it, and I think he would have made it, but they didn't. So, but Santos, he'll get you those up to 50 for sure. He's very good at that. He gets you your extra points, but he doesn't have the biggest, strongest leg. And now people in the league are kicking 60-yarders like it's no big deal. But you don't want to let a good kicker who's pretty solid out there go unless you know you have a better replacement. So I think the Bears stick with him unless some surprise comes up. I don't know if that'll happen, okay? So we'll have to see. So basically, I gave you all the stats. And I was talking about Swift, and I wanted to, I talked to you about that, and, pretty much you're getting the gist. We've got talent on this team. There's numbers there to prove it, but the fact that we had no head coach that could make a fucking decision, he cost us that Indy game, he cost us Washington, he cost us Detroit, earlier when we were in Detroit. So, he had a lot to do with it. No offensive line. We had a terrible offensive coordinator for our rookie's first year. So it started really at the top. And really think about it. What were they going to do with what they had, right? I mean, I blame Poles, number one, for bringing Flus back. He should have went out knowing you're drafting the number one quarterback. He knew he was drafting him. Fire Flus, fire all those coaches, and start over with somebody who could take a rookie quarterback and take it to the next level year one. And he didn't do it. So it started with Poles, and it went on down. And then, of course, the players at the end of the day have to make up for it. And some of them stepped up. I mean, Williams, I know Moore did. Darnell Wright started every game for the offense. Clement was always in there doing his best. The defense, Bard, JJ was always over the place. Gordon, the linebackers I told you about. So, but I'm going to talk a minute about Brisker. This is food for thought. So Brisker, who I absolutely love, number 9, he is in his third year. This was his third year. And before he went out after game 5. He got hurt in the Carolina game, which I happened to be at, and the Bears won. Awesome game. And he didn't play again. He only played 5 games, and these were his stats for 5 games. 23 solo tackles, 17 assists with a total of 40 in 5 games, people. Think about that. 1 sack, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. He did that in 5 games. If he played 17, things would have been different. We solely missed him. I know he's a backfield guy, but he is a guy that plays all over the field. And those stats show it. And this was one of the biggest losses. Besides the offensive line, this was the second biggest loss to the Bears. And the Bears are not talking about it. And I do not understand. Now, this is his 3rd concussions in 3 seasons. And that really worries me. And in early December, Brisker tweeted out, or whatever he does, that I'm hitting the grass. And things should be getting better. And then silence. Nothing. And then later, like a week later, the head coach, Thomas Brown, said, it's day to day and we'll see what happens. We have no idea with him. So, to me, what happened? He says he's getting ready to practice in early December, and then the Bears say it's still day to day. So is he wishful thinking? And did he pass the protocols? Because I'm telling you, people, if he went down October 6th, and he never played again, that is a very bad sign. And it breaks my heart because this young man is talented. So Is that the reason he's not on the field, or is there a problem? Why aren't the Bears talking about Brisker? That is the number one question on my mind right now. Is his career over? What's happening? Did he do something to piss the Bears off? What is it? Food for thought, okay? So, and then I want to leave you guys with some stuff. Okay, so there is so much crap out on the internet. You know, I do Twitter only to load my show. I don't do Instagram. I do Instagram only to see pictures from my family around the country. And I'm on Facebook really just because I live in Vegas and my family all left Illinois except for my nephew and niece and my cousin. Everybody else left. I have two brothers and a sister and nieces and nephews, and everybody just left. And so we're all over the country. So that's why I stay on Facebook for friends and family mostly to see what I'm doing, right? And to load my show. But you can't, people, trust me when I say this, do not believe anything on Facebook. It's clickbait. They only want you to click so they can get their clicks to make money. It's like a YouTube show or a podcast. You know, people will do something just so you could turn them on. Yeah, I want you to watch me, but I'm not going to give you bullshit to do so. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you turn my show on, you're going to get my opinion and you're going to get the truth the best. I usually go 2 or 3 places to find correct information. So do not read Facebook and believe it, number one. And don't look at any of they want to interview this guy. They want to interview that guy. They want to do this, that. Don't do it to yourself. It'll just piss you off, and 9 out of 10 times it's bullshit, okay? And the thing is, we can't control what the Bears do. We know that. It's unfortunate because I would like them to call me and I'd give them a little of my opinion and it probably would help, but they're not going to do it. But we can't control it. So we just have to stay positive and hope that they do the best. And I was thinking about this. You know what? The universe has to finally come together for Chicago Bears because for the first time in my 49 years, they have a real quarterback. I know they had Cutler for a while. He was a tool. McMahon, he got us to the Super Bowl, got hurt all the time. But I believe any quarterback could have won in 85. I really do, because we had a running attack, we had an offensive line, and we had a defense that was damn scary. I think any quarterback could have taken us. So this is, for me, in my 49 years, going on 50 in 2025, the best quarterback we ever had. So the Bears finally have a quarterback. Their defense is pretty good. You know what they really need is some of these guys like Sweat is an ass kicking. Get their heads straight, get back out there and play like you know you should and what you're being paid for. So with this being said, the universe has to come together and finally give the Bears a head coach that they've been missing since Lovie Smith. The 2 best coaches in my 10 year, well, there was 3. Back in the 70s, Pardee was a good head coach. But the Bears didn't pay him, so he left after he took them to the playoffs in the 70s. And then, of course, Mike Ditka and Lovie Smith. That's it in what I've seen. And so now it's time. The quarterback, the Bears have the quarterback. Now I think they're going to get a good head coach, and then the universe is going to come together for the Chicago Bears and us fans. I mean, think about it, right? Right? It's got to happen. It's time, people. It's time. I mean, it is our turn. And the tools are there, as I just showed you, with stats and stuff like that. Not that bad for a team that only won 5 games. And they had one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, this league, this year. You can go and look it up. I think they were the second or third toughest in the league. So they had a lot of shit going against them, but there was a lot of positives. Even though after that Washington game, the wheels fell off. That's all when it started, and we know it. And it started with Flus and went down. So, I'm not going to beat that dead horse, but it's the truth. But So there is positives here. We can get this together if they just hire the right guy who can hire the right coaches under him, and they can take these guys. A great offensive coordinator for Cabe and a new offensive line, a great offensive line coach, a great defensive coordinator who can bring that talent back together and kick them in the ass and get them to show up 110% every week, practice field and game day. Right? So that's it, really. I'm telling you. So, we'll see. I know they're interviewing a shit ton of people, but I don't care about that. I really don't. And again, don't do it to yourself. Don't click on that stuff. Ignore it until the day they announce the head coach. What's the point? You could read that stuff and you're going to get mad, or you're going to tell somebody a story you read that's not going to be true, and then everybody's going to talk about it. So just don't do it. Don't read about the Bears from now on until they hire a head coach. Don't do it. I'm just doing you a favor. And you know what? It's been a rough season. We know it. I went in with such positivity. I was so excited. I drank the fucking Kool-Aid. Remember I told you a couple shows ago, they're real good at mixing that Kool-Aid, the Bears. The last 2 seasons they did it, right? We drank it and we bought into it. I'm not going in this season doing that, but I just got a feeling. Of course, I've been watching the Bears going on 50 years, so I probably say this every season. We all do, Bears fans, real Bears fans, right? I am 100% real Bear fan. Nothing else. Some people tell me, I have friends, the Bears, they're not my number one team to watch, but I like this team and that team. No, that don't make you a real Bears fan. Real Bears fans live, breathe, wear the shit, bleed blue and orange, and watch them no matter what. And I think we're going to get rewarded moving forward, starting in 2025. We're going to start getting better. I predicted we'd win the division this season. That was just a joke. I'd be happy with second place and a wild card team and a wild card, go to the wild card. But nothing less. It is going to be nothing less because we deserve it. But we got to get the right players. But we got to get the right coaches, number one. Nothing less. So I'm not going to keep talking. We've talked about it. I just want to thank you all. I got some new subscribers this year. I appreciate it. I am very appreciative. I'm ending my 5th year as doing this show. And my goal for next season, 2025, is I'm going to try to get 1 or 2 Chicago Bears to come and do my show. Even though it's not live, but we can record it. I am going to try to do that. So I've never done it, but I think this year I might. We'll see. But I appreciate you watching me. You turn me on because I love to be turned on. Boom. And you watched this face. As I say, her father's face on a woman's body. Just not fair. But I got a good sense of humor. And I'm a good person because my dad was a good person. So I got that from him too. So, I can live with it. I was married to the love of my life for 28 years. And unfortunately, most people know he passed in 2008 after 17 years with an ugly, ugly disease. But he loved me and I loved him, so I was lucky. So I'll go with that, right? And I got 2 awesome grandkids. That's why I'm in Vegas, because my son moved to Vegas. I came out, and I have 2 great grandkids. So, and one of them's already a Bears fan, and he's going on 3. I know. So, thank you for watching me, coming back each week, even though you didn't want to. I did get a lot of views each week, and I appreciate it. I don't do it for the views. Well, I do, but I do it because I love it, and I love my Bears, and I hope I can make people laugh each week, because I try to. I mean, if this don't make you laugh, I don't know what will. So, I know this show is running really long, but I just wanted to thank you. It really, really means a lot. Now, this is my last show until the Bears hire a head coach. Once the Bears start hiring, they get the head coach and the coaching staff together, I will come back and do a show. We will talk about it. And then I'll come back for the draft. So that's it. There's at least going to be 2 to 3 more shows, but you're going to have to look for me because I'm not coming back regularly after this. So I hope you can come back, and I hope to see you for the 2025 season. I always start that at the end of August. I don't start in the beginning. I wait till training camp is almost done, and then I'll come back. And it's going to be a good 2025. I just know it for the Chicago Bears. And as always, please, I end my show, love one another, stop hate. Let's come together. Times are really tough out there, and this could be a rough year. And we need to stay positive and stay together, and Bears fans need to stay together. We're going to get through this, and just be kind to one another. Smile at people, because smiling at somebody, you just never know how much it could really help them. So let's just stay together. There's good people out there. Here's one of them. And if I do say so myself. So thank you. I really appreciate you following me all season. It's been a blast talking to you and doing these shows, not necessarily watching the team. But 2025, people, you heard it here. The Bears are coming back. And on that note, keep on rocking and rolling from Vegas, baby. We're gonna be one.